Hello and welcome to the Wow Show, an hour full of stories from and for truck drivers on the road. We're going to have fun saying thank you for who you are and what you do as drivers. And we're going to talk to some people who know their stuff so that we can learn more. My name is David Binyachak. I'm your host. Let's get started. Hey there, Canada. David here. It's the Wow Show. Listen up. There's a couple cool things that I think you can take away from today's show as I focus the show on an interview I had with a very cool individual, Mr. Joel Williams, who is a driver out of Ontario now, born in Regina, Saskatchewan, for Wellington Motor Group. Two things. So question number one, how are you being treated these days? A lot of you will say, hey, life's good. People are treating me well. My company's treating me well. The people on the road are treating me well. People in the stores are treating me well. My family's treating me well. My friends are treating me well. And then there will be some of you going, I'm pissed off. I'm fed up because no one's giving me the respect that I deserve. If you're the latter, listen up. What's cool about Joel's story is it just emphasizes something that I can relate to because I've discovered this in my life. If we need to change, because we're all in that circumstance every once in a while, we're frustrated. It's not just certain people. We all enter that circumstance. If you want to change what you get from people, you've got two choices. You can either try to change them. Good luck. Good luck. People don't like to try to be changed. When someone tries to change you, how do you react? That's how they're going to react. It's not the best way to change what you get in life. The best way to change what you get in life is to change something you completely control, which is what you give. Mr. Joel Williams is a game changer. He's a room changer. He's an atmosphere changer. You only have to spend a few minutes in this interview to kind of get to know that when, if you were to meet this guy on a day, if you were the loading dock guy and he drove up as a driver, if you were having a bad day, it quickly would disappear and your day would get better. If you were discouraged, you'd be happy. He just changes the atmosphere into which he walks. And as he gives that, life's pretty good to him. And it doesn't mean you never meet any ornery people, and it doesn't mean that you never have people that disrespect you. But it's amazing how we get what we give in life. Absolutely true. If you're frustrated with 10 people right now that are all around you, there's a common denominator. It's you. And I've had to do that for myself. I'm not just throwing out that at you. I've had to do that to myself. When I'm pissed off at 10 people and it's the same day, there's a common denominator. It's me. The question is, what am I giving? That's bringing back a bunch of crap. And what do I need to change? What can I change? Because that's the easiest route. Because I control more of what I do than I control anyone else. And I know you've learned that lesson in life. And number two, the cool thing about this interview with Joel Williams, the game changer, the atmosphere changer, is that he's found home. Now, when I talk about home, he actually does in his job get home lots, and that's important to him. But I'm going to define home as that company that you want to work for, where you feel valued, where you feel respected, where you feel like committing to and working hard for because they treat you right. In my 25 to 30 years of serving transport, I've met so many great people who really struggle finding home, that right company. And Joel's found it. And you know what? He didn't take a straight line from A to B. And I relate to him in that way too. A lot of things that I've discovered as truths and I have power teaching other people. It's not because I was wise from day one. It's because I stumbled and I fell. Joel's an overcomer. And you're going to love his story. And it's not all peaches and cream. But because he's struggled, he's learned and he's found home. And the lessons from his struggles, I think, are amazing on an amazing opportunity for every listener to take away if you haven't found home, in terms of learning from his failures so that you can take more of a straight line. Because here's the scoop: you deserve home. You deserve a place that respects who you are, gets who you are, and that you feel comfortable in and that you want to commit to. Joel works hard for Wellington Motor Group. You deserve a home. But the truth is, you're not going to discover it by chance. You're going to discover it by choice. And so as you listen to this story and you listen to my interview with Joel Williams, I want you to ask yourself, what am I taking away that's going to help me find that place called home where, the company respects me, gets me, knows who I am. If you're a fleet manager listening, you're going, Dave, that's one-sided. Because many of you fleet managers feel like you're not respected by your drivers. And there's going to be some cool lessons in this interview for you as well, because you know what? While it sounds one-sided, helping drivers find their home, when a driver finds his home or her home, the benefit to you as the fleet owner, the fleet manager, and their dispatcher, whatever relationship you have with them, is they're going to be the best employee you ever had. They're going to be the coolest person to work with because they're happy. How many people in your company that you work with today are happy on a regular basis? We all have our bad days. But someone who's just genuinely glass half full most of the time instead of glass half empty. I'm excited for all of us because the more that I listen to what Joel said and the more I reflect on our interview, the more I take away and the more that I learn. And I hope that that's what you get out of this as well. So here we go. My interview with the one, the only, the game changer, the atmosphere changer, the person whose story holds a lot of nuggets for you, Mr. Joel Williams. Hey, Canada, it is my distinct pleasure to have a very cool dude on the call with me today. Mr. Joel Williams is a driver with Wellington Motor Group, right?
Yeah. Wellington Motor Group. Yeah, it's called Wellington Transport. Yeah. Wellington Motor Group.
Just Wellington.
Wellington. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's good British dish, and it's an awesome transport company. And so, Joel, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, David. So much, thank you.
Our listeners are going to get caught up with your positivity, with your bubbliness. I love it already. And so, Joel, let's talk about the man. So tell me, where were you born? How did life begin for you?
It was pretty simple, straightforward. I was blessed with like an amazing mother, that's been through a whole whack of stuff, to kind of to raise me, especially me when I was younger. I was to put it lightly, a handful. I guess. And everyone at that age, we all got those little stories there too as well, right? But yeah, yes. No, mostly Regina, Saskatchewan. That's where I was born and raised. Yeah, right close by you. I believe you're in Alberta right now at the time.
You bet. It's a 7-hour drive away. It's not the most exciting 7-hour drive, but it's a 7-hour drive away.
Oh yeah, well you're speeding then. Yeah, no, yeah, they're next door to each other, the Calgary and Regina. Yeah.
So do you wear a Green Riders undershirt? Like, are you a Riders fan?
No, I'm more. That's actually a Wellington shirt there. They showered me with a whole bunch of gifts. I guess you can't really see the tag.
Yes.
Yeah, I should have. So I would have wore some more.
Proud of the logo. I like it.
Oh yeah, no, I do. Yeah, I wear everything, like the sleep and everything, and they probably fire me if they see how crazy I'm promoting the company. It's really great.
So you were born in Regina, and Regina is famous for its football and beautiful new stadium. Have you ever gone back to Regina in your travels and seen the new Mosaic Stadium?
Unfortunately, I have not been in there yet. No, yes, but in terms of looking at it, it's just unbelievably amazing. Like especially opposed to Taylor Field, the way it was that I've been there like a billion times, and it's more the atmosphere, the feeling. It's not how nice the stadium is. That's kind of the way Taylor Field was, But I could only imagine in that new stadium. It's just,
It is. And we had a photo shoot in the old stadium before it got tore down, which was amazing.
No,
just
yeah,
for
yeah.
nostalgia. But the new stadium is kind of cool. So you're born in Regina. They're heavy football fans for the obviously Saskatchewan and
Mhm.
the Riders. Does that follow you? Are you a Rider fan,
Yeah, like yeah, I mean,
or are you more
uh,
NFL?
yeah. No, like I do, yeah, like the writers, there's no doubt about that, because like you're born and raised there, and like you get beat up if you're not a writer. But it is, it's great. No, and it's like the atmosphere from that, and how people are just so connected with the writers, and like I love that. Like in my opinion, they have like the greatest fans in the world. It doesn't matter whether they win or lose. You know what I mean? They're just like unbelievable fans. They're just great. And that's the feeling you get when you go to a Rider game. It's just the energy is just like, it's really great. It's
Yes.
unbelievable. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, unfortunately, I'm kind of more like a Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers kind of Green Bay guy, because that's just one of the closer teams to me too, like growing up in Saskatchewan at the time, right? So
Okay.
yeah, I kind of just unfortunately lured to the dark side of the force, if you will.
The dark side in two ways, but I have to confess, but we do have something in common, and that is Brett
Okay.
Favre. So I grew up a Minnesota Vikings fan, and
Ooh. Interview's over. No, no, sorry. No, yeah.
um, but we do have Brett Favre in common. He was one interception away from taking the Vikings to the Super Bowl. How many Super Bowls did he win with Green Bay?
How many did he win?
Yeah,
For Brett Favre?
yeah. How many Super Bowls
Yeah,
did he win with Green Bay?
just that one against the Broncos there.
Okay,
They had
yeah,
that back-to-back year where they lost to Denver, which was great, but yeah, they lost. It's okay, but no, yeah, it's a miracle that they had those two quarterbacks. It's unbelievable. But no, I know the game you're talking about. Was that when he was the Viking? He went to the
he
Vikings,
was the
right?
Vikings, and he took him
He was
to,
taking
and
on the Saints
they were
that game.
charging
Yeah.
that midfield, and they just needed a field goal, and I was like all excited. We're going to the
There
Super
we go. Eh?
fifth time to possibly lose for the fifth time, but it was good to go to the Super Bowl, and then interception, and it's like no.
Oh no, I know.
So
I
Minneapolis
hear you. No,
Lyric,
absolutely. Yeah,
the
yeah. I
Minneapolis
even
Lyric.
myself. I'm sorry.
No, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh, even myself at that time, I was like, I'm a Green Bay guy. So, but no, yeah, no, the whole Favre thing. How it transfer, how he went there. I was
Yeah,
kind of cheering too at the time. I was like, yeah, it's Brett Favre, right? So even though he's played for the Vikings, like, let's go. Let's do it. But
that's cool.
I
That's
totally
cool.
remember that moment. It hurt.
So you've got Regina roots. You've got an amazing mom. What's her name?
Oh, Merlin, my mama.
Yeah,
Yeah. Merlin, Miss Williams. Yeah. She's
Miss
great. She's
Williams.
awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
Should be a movie. So tell what makes her awesome. Tell me about her. What was her life like?
Oh, well, growing up in Jamaica for her, times were pretty difficult, of course, and unfortunately, at a young age, this was like back a long time ago when things were a lot different. She had to leave home, right? Not, and then she lived with some friends and aunties, whatnot, kind of on the other side of the island, like sort of far away from home, basically.
Okay.
And it was pretty tough for her, kind of growing up. She never got the education she wanted and anything like that. And then she moved up here. What was it? At a younger, I think it was 19 or something like that. She lived in Toronto for a little bit and then kind of ended up migrating over to Saskatchewan following one of her friends at the time, my auntie.
Yes.
And yeah, no, things have just been tough, kind of just growing up by herself at a young age. She had to learn everything herself, do everything herself, and kind of build everything
Yes.
around by yourself and all that. And yeah, then taking care of me and my brother and all that on top of it, that's a handful. Like, it's just, oh my goodness, And yeah, no, like a lot of us, say and do that, but as we get older, we get what our parents are talking about, And
Yeah.
so it's,
So you
it,
said
it's,
you were a handful,
oh
and
yeah.
but that means that your brother was a handful too. So she needed two hands, or was your brother a little bit kinder to her?
I, we could both debate on that, but yeah, we were we were both
Let's call.
interesting to say
Let's.
the least.
Let's. I assume, like, she's still alive. Is she still living? Your mom?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She was here visiting me for a little while actually. The thing is, how moms are. They're so just great and all that. They stay connected, especially with this whole thing that us in this entire world we're going through with the virus and all that.
Yeah.
She was very worried, who shouldn't be, for loved ones and all that. So
Yeah.
at one point I was like, okay, I'll just come out there, visit her for a little while. And it kind of turned into, she missed me a lot. I was like, okay, well then she just ended up coming back with me. So she came back with me and she stayed here with me for a while. She just actually went back home just a couple months ago, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Good
No,
stuff.
she's good. She's great. Especially at her age, it's amazing. We in our family we tend to live a lot of years and whatnot. It's like my grandma. She's great. She's more crazy like me.
Yeah.
But she passed away a while ago. But she was like 94 at the time. So that's pretty good.
So how long are you gonna live? You gonna hit that 100 mark, that centurion mark?
I don't know. We'll see. I really, yeah. I'm not too sure. I had my own past with hospitals and whatnot. I'm actually lucky to be alive. I'll tell you the truth. But 10 years back, I kind of went through my own little ordeal, whatnot. So yeah.
Wow. So
We'll
you're
see. We'll see.
you're
We'll see what happens. I'm
you're a
sorry.
survivor as well.
Oh
You're
yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm really, really, really blessed. That's another whole story there. Yeah, kind of
yeah.
scary, but yeah. No,
Well, you know
yeah,
what?
that's
We might get into that, but let's talk about
yeah,
your
yeah.
trucking roots. So growing up with your mom,
Mm-hmm,
and on the prairies, a lot
mm-hmm.
of boys start when they're 9. They don't have a license yet, but they're on the farm, and
Yeah,
dad says, here, let me teach you how to drive this thing. um,
yeah.
when was your when did you know you're going to be a trucker? When did that kind of pull to be a professional driver hit you?
That's a really good question because honestly and truthfully, I never thought I'd be a trucker as a job per se. I
Okay.
just love trucks. It's just like it's beautiful how you bring that up because it's so true. Like in the prairies, it's like driving. It's not so much a big deal to us. It's like yeah, it's like when you're young. Like I knew all my buddies on the farms were always driving. Like since I was like a kid, literally, I was driving like front end loaders and combines and stuff like that. Because we're helping out at the farm, right, at harvest time. And I lived in the city. I go up there the weekends and help them out. And
Yes.
literally, yeah, the first time I actually sort of drove a truck. I wasn't very good at it. It was with my friend Scott Douglas. His father worked at Jay's moving company in Regina.
Okay.
Whatnot.
Yeah,
I was about
I know
10
them.
years old. He's like, yeah, because I always liked driving and trucks and all that. So I was like, okay, on the way back from Saskatoon, he's like, he pulled over and then he's like, okay, go at it. I'm like, what? But then I kind of caught the grasp of it, whatnot. And then it's just a straight road, right? So yeah, that was kind of the first time illegally, quote unquote, maybe
That's
edit that part out because I lost my license. But I was like, yeah, in terms of a truck, yeah, 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 yeah.
You know what? We've
But
had
no,
already
it's
about 7 or 8 interviews that confessed that they drove when they were younger than they should, and they're all still driving. So I think you're going to be 8 out of 8. So I wouldn't worry about too much about it.
no, it's totally you totally know exactly what it's like as soon as you said that. It's like, yeah, maybe you've done that too. It's like this, that's the way it is in the prairies. Yeah, it's driving is usually not too big of an issue, really. You kind of just you do it. Like even when I was young, I remember sitting on my uncle's lap out at his farm. There, I was 3 years old. I don't remember what I was doing, but I was steering the truck. I wasn't actually doing it, but I was sitting on his lap. He was probably steering it for me, but I thought I was driving. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's just not an issue in terms of driving for me. It's kind of just always been that way. But yeah, no, to kind of go back to the point you're saying there. Yeah, I never really thought as a profession it would be what I was gonna do, but it just happened just to go that way. There was a lot of ups and downs and whatnot, and then I, got my license as soon as I could, and I didn't even actually use it professionally. I was at a roofing company at the time where they had big trucks with air brakes, so I was like, okay, I was gonna get in Saskatchewan they call it Class 3,
Yeah.
but then it was so expensive. I was like, well, for a little bit more, I could get my Class 1. I don't think I'm gonna use it or ever need it, but why not go for it? I've already driven trucks anyway, so I was like, yeah.
Surprise! You're using it.
yeah, yeah. It's funny. That's how life turns out sometimes, right? You
Yeah.
don't know what or how or what direction it's gonna be, but it just does, and it
You
happens,
know,
right? So
that's such a great lesson. When in life
it is.
we just commit to taking steps forward today.
Right,
Sometimes we don't know why and we don't know exactly how they'll be used, but down the road,
right.
it's
Yeah,
amazing how opportunities spring up. So good on you for not settling for class 3, going to class 1, and
right.
finding your eventually finding your career in that. And so that's kind of really cool. I love the
Yeah,
image of your
exactly.
first kind of foray in a truck being a moving truck, because
Mhm.
moving trucks take people to new homes. And you know,
Yeah, yeah.
in hearing others talk about you at Wellington, uh, you know, you have something to offer our audience because you
Mm,
found your home. Like that moving truck has landed in a driveway,
yeah,
and you found a place that you're really happy with, and that you just
right,
want to like empty the truck, settle in, you know, enjoy life. And
right.
that's so elusive for many drivers is finding
Oh yeah,
home.
it is.
So
It is.
talk about home, talk about your current role, talk about why you like it so much, talk about the journey to get there.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. No. Like I said, in the first place, it's never really what I thought I was going to do. I just, like I said, I was in a roofing company at the time. That's why I had my 3 license, and then it just, I don't know how. What was I was in a paper company, a distribution company in Regina at the time. I was going through some stuff there, bad relationships and all this stuff, and I was getting ill and all that, and I was kind of like, well, maybe I should, since I have my class 1, I don't technically like I know how to drive a truck, but I don't technically, do that. But at the time, I
yeah,
was like, okay, it was good. They were laying people off because things at the company weren't working well at the time. So then there's like, I'll go. So I liked all these people I work with. So I need a change in life right now. It's just that time. So, and then I kind of went off and went to a little training program for a little bit for like a month or two when I hopped in with a couple of guys, Wayne Foote, one of the best guys I've ever met. That guy was an amazing driver. He kind
right.
of taught me a few things. I was with him for a while, and yeah, he kind of taught me the rules of the road, not so much in terms of driving the truck, but all the rules that kind of go with that, with being on the highway, and regulations and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
So that's kind of, yeah, that's how it started. That was about, I don't know, 15, 20 years back or something like that. It's kind of how I first got into it, and it wasn't my thing at the time. I was like, oh, being on the road, just kind of like how you said there, right? How you literally live in the truck, right?
yeah,
It's hard for some people, even me. It's like, I was like, wow, I'm never around anymore. I'm gone. I'm always gone all the time. It was difficult for me,
yes,
but you kind of do it because at the time, the pay was really good. Uh, it's especially if you're willing to work. You put in long days. You could tally up some decent money at the time. But that was like 20 years ago when cost of living was like not even half of what it is now, right? So things have changed as we further get to the conversation. How how it helps with Wellington, and I get the good balance there.
yes. So
But
that's
yeah, I've been in.
so your past kind of taught you what to look for in the future. I mean, you recognize that the long hours were worth it when you're young and single, and you can put that in, and it's really no big deal. I
Right,
relate to that in my earlier jobs, first jobs when I was in my early 20s.
right, right,
We
right, right,
worked
right,
hard and we played
right.
hard. We were a
All
team,
right.
and it was
Yeah,
okay because I really had no other life like that.
because that's well, yeah, yeah. That's yeah. What else are you gonna do, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So you
Especially
had
at that time in my life, things were kind of bad for me, and I was getting out of the bad stuff too as well. At the time we're young, we're doing stupid mistakes and all that. You learn from that, just like you said, right? And
yeah.
yeah, I was like, okay, well, it's an opportunity to really flip things around. So start getting my mind straight and everything. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
redemption stories are cool. I love that. Where we all go through stuff
Mm-hmm.
and
It's great.
personally, and I can just tell from your attitude that we've all gone through our stuff, and I if we just focus on it, and then it holds us back, and that would be a shame because there's so much more.
That's so right. It's like, and no, that's exactly like how I felt at the time when I first got into it, right? I'm like, when you're thinking of all these bad negative things, right?
Yeah,
It holds you back, right?
yeah.
But then and then you don't even know what direction you're going. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't even think this is what I was gonna do and all that. But you just fight through it, you go with it, and then over time, yeah, things just, you don't even notice things start flopping your way, and then it just does, eh? And then you get to where I am now. I'm like, wow, what the heck? How did that happen? Right?
So I love what you said. You said you just fight through it.
Right.
That's in and absolutely true. No disputes there. I've had to do the
Oh yeah.
same. Easier said
Mm-hmm.
than done, though. What helped you fight through it? Like it's easy to say, but for someone
Uh,
who's in it,
all
who's
right.
in their struggle,
Oh
it's like
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
wish I could. And they sometimes you feel powerless too.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah. It's like, yeah, just like it was so moving how like I said, I was watching that other video there with the, oh, I'm so sorry, I keep forgetting her name. It's like, you
Jason
know,
Galadriel.
yeah. It's like just amazing stories. It's like how how they fight through stuff like that. I'm like, that's just so amazing. You know, like everyone, in my opinion, has a struggle in life. That's just that's life, right? Like we
Yeah.
have to fight through. That's just like you say the story. That's why when you talk about these things, it's so moving to me because it connects and like, oh my God, you know, and it's good to hear other people that go through this because then it makes it easier for me to talk about it, right?
Yes.
It's like, yeah, my little thing was at the time I said I was struggling, I was going through that in relationships and all that, and I started trucking and all that. After a while, I got really sick.
Yeah.
And you know, at the time I didn't even know what the illness was because I just my things were so bad, like you just for your depression and everything, you're constantly feel down.
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, that's normal, but it wasn't. I was actually really sick and I didn't even know that because life was so bad at the time. I'm like, well, you know,
Yeah.
and then that's the part I little missed. Missed that part out. It's a little personal. Is why I left because things weren't so bad at the company. There is I had an issue there. I was unloading the truck one night, and then I remember that I was unloading. I just finished unloading. Went back to my car, and then the last thing I remember is just fading, and then I fell over right, and then I remember we hit the ground, and then I kind of bounced up, and then that's it. That's all I remembered.
Wow.
And then about 3 weeks later, I woke up in Saskatoon and I was looking at just like a room full of people, right? With people I hadn't even seen in like 20, 30 years, right? And I didn't even know what it was. And basically it was a brain aneurysm is what happened. Yeah, it's a totally just like knocked me right the, you know what? and yeah, no, I guess like from that, I don't know what happened, but in between there, the doctors tell me that they kept resuscitating me and then putting me back to sleep because of the surgery. It wasn't working. So what they did is they purposely put me in a coma just so my body would relax so I could kind of recuperate from it. And it just happened to work. Don't ask me how, but it did. And
The big guy was looking
yeah,
at
and then I kind of, yeah, it was just the recoup phase from there, I guess, to say the least. You know, it's when you go through something like that, and many people could, you know, a lot of people, you don't think about stuff like that much. But when you talk about it, then you know, all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, this person, and then this person, and all, you know, it makes it easier to talk about. You just recuperate from that point on. You kind of just rebuild yourself. You know, it's I was lucky at the time. I was blessed, truly blessed, because I remembered how to do things, but I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because you know what I went through, it's just like no, it's your body just wouldn't allow me to do it, even though my memory kicked in. Thank God it did. And then it's just it took a good couple of years from there to kind of to get everything back. You know, you start off, you can't walk, you can't do nothing, you can't go to the bath, you can't sleep. You just get this visualize what's in front of you when you open your eyes, and that's basically it. And then you kind of just start building your way back up, whatnot. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because it's true. I mean, you talked about depression. You talked about all of these things,
Right.
and most people, they don't see themselves. It's this slow step by step by step. They don't even know that they're descending into that. What
Yeah.
can companies do, and what are I think friends play a real role in this, because if we're the ones slipping, we normally don't see it. And so, what advice would you give drivers, even as they see other drivers, in terms of, hopefully spotting this before and dealing with it before they come to a place where all of a sudden you're unloading on a dock and everything just starts to go,
Yeah.
and you get
No.
what, you've gone through it and God has blessed you with your miracle recovery, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I lost my mom when she was 7, and that's what she had. She had a brain aneurysm, but that was in the 70s, and they didn't know anything about that at that time. Well, they knew about it, but they didn't know how to treat it. I mean, technology wasn't there, and so it's cool. But what advice would you give to drivers and companies around helping drivers with that? When they're kind of slipping.
Yeah. No. First of all, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
That happened, and I remember you were talking a part of that too in the other video, and I didn't want to go there unless you wanted to say something. But no, I really apologize. That's thank you for what you do. Like really, you're an amazing person. Really, oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Um, yeah, no, to go back to what you're saying there. Pretty much, yeah. Like if you feel off, like everyone kind of like from my perspective anyway, everyone knows who they really are. You know, they kind of can interlude with all the demons in life and all that, right? But
Yeah,
that's not who you truly are. If
yeah.
you feel that, then something's wrong. Talk to somebody, do something, go out, go get help, get anything like a scams. Like you said, there's technology now that we can help people, it's when we don't, when we're in that dark place, right? And you just feel that's normal. And it's no, it's not. Life's supposed to be happy. You're supposed to be good, even in bad times, it comes and goes. But when it sticks with you for like years at a time and you're constantly low,
Yeah,
that's not right.
yeah.
No, God didn't make this planet for that. There's struggles. We've messed a lot of the planet up, through society and history and whatnot. But no, yeah. So please, if you feel bad in any way for whatever reason, just talk to someone. Like, that's a starting point. Who knows what direction it may be or what happened, right? But don't just don't just hide it and shut it away.
Well,
Just please speak to someone about. That's a great starting point.
it's great advice, and it's so cool. This week I've connected with a lady named Charlotte out of Winnipeg, and she does mental health, and so we're probably gonna have a forum,
Mm.
and I might just invite you back because
Oh yeah, no,
that's your story, a forum with drivers and a forum with Charlotte
please.
and
Yeah.
her colleague, and just
Anything that helps
that.
anybody,
Yeah.
please. I'd love to join and just
And
talk about whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna add one
Absolutely.
thing on to Joel's point for our listeners is that a lot of you feel like, okay, well, I don't have money to go see a psychologist. And while psychologists are cool and psychiatrists are cool,
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that don't have the budget to go do that. It can be
True.
as simple as talking to a friend. Just talk about it, get it out.
Absolutely. Get it out of you. Yeah. Like it's when it bottles up inside, it just manifests into this big demon inside you. And then you almost believe that it's real because you've been dealing with it so long. You think that's the way it's supposed to, and it's not.
Yeah, no,
Like I
definitely.
can't even begin to what you've been through and all that. And then look at you here helping like the world out. Like that's amazing.
Well,
You
my
talk about
friend,
story, like no one ever talks about what's you. Like that's it is. Like so you're very inspiring, man. That's what I was like. I was talking to you on the phone, and then I see all this, and I'm like, wow, I gotta connect this guy. That's you're
well,
doing like a beautiful thing. This to reach out to people. Yeah.
my life has taught me that if you had to go through, then there's a reason for it, and there's a purpose for it, and there's a redemption of it. And so I will throw that right back at you, my friend Joel, in that as you've had to go through, you have some pretty cool things coming up as you help other people. Usually, what we go through, we understand it, and it gives us really a powerful sword to help other people come through what we had to go through. And so it's not for waste. It's while you would never wish it. I don't. Here's the thing, and maybe I think you agree, is that I tell people I would not wish parts of my life on anyone,
Right.
but I wouldn't trade it because my life is rich.
That's so right. No, it's like it's so true. Like how even your worst enemy, quote unquote, you wouldn't wish anything bad on them, but like through what me, you, anyone goes through, it's such a learning process, right? Like
Yeah,
and then if you look at it the right way, it turns you to a better person. Like here I am, I'm talking. I never thought a million years I'd be talking to you about stuff like this, and then you're telling me that we could get you back to help some other people. And I'm just like smiles. I'm like, yeah, that's great.
yeah.
Anything to help someone because
Or
there's people that have been through what we have.
you're really
We don't talk about it and bottle it inside, and it just gets worse.
and you're really
It's
doing it.
good.
You're really helping people, and yeah, we'll have you back for
Yeah,
that show, and I'm looking forward to that. Um,
yeah.
you are a room changer. So, with your spirit and
Oh,
your
it,
I
when I was younger in a bad way, yeah. I
okay,
got a lot
let's redeem that.
I,
And
I got a different sense of humor, I guess you could. Yeah, definitely. I noticed you've noticed that. Yeah. People
and
that
I,
know
and
me
I,
think I'm
I
crazy,
love
but
it because I can see you walking up to a loading dock and the person's not having a great day, but within 2 minutes of spending life with you, all of a sudden the day is a lot better than it was before. You know, it wouldn't
Nice.
surprise me if on a day-to-day Joel Williams is an atmosphere changer. And that just by who you are, when you connect with the people that you're dealing with, you make a difference in their life.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, if it helps anyone, yeah, why not? You know, it's just, I think I'm just crazy in general, but yeah, who knows what
Craziest thing.
hey, you know, if that's what God put me on this planet for, then hey, then that's great. You know, like anything to help someone that make their day a little brighter, then yeah, I'm all for. There's no doubt about that. You know, because
Uh,
I got my opportunity. You know, I was blessed, you know, to be here. I could not
yeah,
have been, right?
yeah,
And you know, someone decided that hey, it's not your time. We know who that is, you know. So it's
yeah,
yeah, you believe that. It's like, you know, I owe him at least that. I owe God that, you know, if I'm here because of him, then the least I can do is do my best to help others. You
yeah.
know, that's why as soon as you said the trucking thing, I knew my demons going through that. And you're like, to inspire people to do. I'm like, oh yeah, man, you know, anything, you know, because I've been down, you know, in this business, but you look at me now, you know, it took a while, but yeah, when you get to a place where I work, it's just wow,
And
amazing.
I'm going to say this, that, you know, as I listen to you talking, it's
Mm,
important. And this message is to any trucker that's listening and you know, just feels like they kind of fell into their job or, you know, I love telling trucker stories and I feel bad when they don't recognize how important what they do is. And for all of us, there's our day to day in terms of what we do. And yes, you're a professional truck driver. And yes, I'm a photographer and I do other things, but our legacy comes out of what we choose to do with what we do.
right.
And so the cool thing about being a truck
Yeah.
driver is, you know, God puts you in people's faces all day long. He gives you the opportunity to interact and impact more
Yeah.
people than the average person would ever have the chance to do. And that's
Mhm.
powerful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's you know, see, yeah, see, you just taught me that too. Like I never looked at it that way. Like I know that, right? Because that's what I do, but I never look at it that way. I never look at it me as inspiring or anyone or anything. I'm just being Joel, right? But if someone is happy about it, then that's a good thing. You're spreading as a truck driver the joy, right?
I like it. You know what?
Yeah, totally.
You know, I always laugh. I say, you know, Revenue Canada. I mean, pay your taxes, but they're not going to show up at your funeral. You know, your bank is not going to show up at your funeral. Your whatever's not going to show
Right.
up. Your legacy comes from the relationships that you build, and that's what I love
Yes.
about the trucking community. Is it's about community and it's about relationship, and
True.
so
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Um,
It's
who's
amazing.
who do you have a single person or is it many people that you know today when you know you need to talk that you go to? Do you have that set up or is there do you have good friends around you or you know how does that
Not
work for you today?
particularly. No, like like an immediate person or anything like that. It's like back in the day, yeah, it would be, you know. But after my experience and all that, I'm just kind of more open to it, you know. Like
Yeah,
people that personally know me know what I've been through and all that, so I
yeah,
use them as kind of like a as my grounds, I guess, whatnot. You know, as I slowly open up to more and more people, it becomes easier. You know, at first after my thing, it was this scared. You know, I never
yeah,
ever want to say or talk or da 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 da. But then when you do, when you open up, and then more people, you know, that go through it and all that, then it's okay. You know, it makes you more comfortable after a while. You know, it's like yeah, just let it out. You know, it's tough a little. You know, certain aspects of it, whatnot. Like if you go there, you start dating again and all that. People find out what you've been through, then it's kind of like, you know, they're like then they shy away or something. So it's hard and all that. But yeah, it's just it's kind of it is what it is. You know, this was the groundwork that was laid before I was even born. That's God knew that's what was going to happen. So it's kind of you go with it, and you just like you said, you make the best of it, and that becomes your legacy because of it, because of
yeah,
what you do with it to make of it, you know,
yeah,
with what you got. And
yeah.
just yeah,
Your life
be
becomes
positive
richer.
no matter how bad it is. Because like man, there's people that got like a billion times worse than I had. You know, I'm the living proof because I'm here talking to you right now.
Yes.
Right? So
And
yeah,
I like thank you
absolutely.
for being right here talking to me right now. You're an awesome.
Well, thank you. It's
Yeah,
like
you've got that purpose. So
the way you do those stories, like you really care about people. You know, you put it out there. It's like it's so comfortable talking to you because, like, especially when I saw that video there, I was like,
yeah.
my God, it's really it got me. You know, Like I
Well,
was like in tears, man. I was like, you know, because it hits you with something like that. It is. It becomes personal. You're like, wow, you know, and more people need to see that because it just, especially in times like now and what history he's taught us and revelations and all this stuff. It's like it ain't gonna be easier as life goes on, right? So we need
yeah,
to adapt together, you know, because we're one big family. That's the way God sees us. You know, we've
yeah,
forgotten that through history and all that, but everyone is the brother. You're my brother.
you
It's the
got
way it
it.
is, but we forgot that. So yeah.
Yeah, back at you, brother Joel.
I hear you. Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
It's good.
That's life, the real
I
in the
tell,
way I see it. Anyway. Yeah.
I tell people, I mean, yeah, I love beautiful trucks and I love photography and doing that, but really why I do
Mhm.
what I do is because of the people, and that their story is important and it needs to be told. And do you know what? Here's the scoop, and it's just it's an idealistic way of solving the world's problems, but love people love. And so if you just pour
Yeah,
into people, you start to create this tidal wave of good things happening. There's a lot of, crap that
it's
happens and
true.
we're not going to stop it and whatever. But, and the best way to love someone is just to listen to their story, listen them out, just be a listening ear. Right. And it creates a lot of good things. So, home.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Love
Yeah,
your
yeah,
story. Love your story. You found home at Wellington. You already
yeah.
hinted that a part of home was the fact that it gave you work-life balance.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah.
how, what advice would you give? You found home, and so many truck drivers, like I said before, struggle finding home.
Hmm.
What and home will be different for everyone. Some of us like bungalows, some of us like 2 stories, some
Right.
of us like the 454 square foot IKEA living space. Some of us like, it's different for all of us. What advice would you give drivers that are looking for their home, their stay forever or stay for a long time, trucking company?
Mhm.
What advice would you give them?
No, absolutely. You're totally right about that. It's like, what is home, right? Like everyone has a different perspective on what that can be. You
Yep.
know, it's I don't know, like as an overall fundamental answer, I guess it'd be what's most comfortable, like where your heart almost lies, you know, when you feel it inside, like, oh, this is good. When you're happy, even on a bad day, things aren't as bad, you know, you're like, oh, okay, you know, whatever, you know, tomorrow will be better, you know, like that's home, you know,
Yeah.
especially in terms of trucking. But I was talking about fundamental in terms of just life and everyone, right?
Yeah.
But for me, in terms of trucking, I didn't want to be stuck in the truck all the time, you know. So it technically wasn't home. It was because I spent most of my time there, but when I'm actually home, to
Yeah.
me, yeah, that's kind of the thing for me, and that's where I found. I remember you saying about balance in that here at Wellington. That's yeah, they really they work so hard to make that happen for me, and that's why I love
Yeah.
them. It's like it feels like a home. It feels like they're my families because, like like many drivers that they hear this, they go to companies and they're like, yeah, we'll listen to you. Yeah, we'll do this. But, but at the end of the day, it's business. You just got to get the freight moved. So, it makes you feel that you're expendable. I'm not going to say that, I shouldn't, like I did. Actually, I shouldn't have said that because that's not probably how they actually feel. But,
Yeah.
from in
No.
terms of a business, they
Our
have to do
perception.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but here at where I am, they just listened to everything I said, like I remember because I went in there and it's like, oh my God, here we go. I was like retired, quote unquote, trucker at the time, about 2, 3 years back before I started with them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I started off in the first week or two, it was kind of like, oh no, I'm not going to do this all over again. Here we go again, right? But then, no, it's Tim Tree, my dispatcher. He's like the coolest dude in the world. Like, I don't believe that this guy is like amazing. And like, I talk to him like it's just fun. You know what I mean? It's like it's still business, but I get to be Joel there. That's why I love it so much. So I explained to them those first 2 weeks how I like to do things, and they listened. They
Yeah.
made it so the run that I do, it's like we do dedicated runs. So you kind of do the same thing every week, but they planned it so it works out the way I like to do it. So I get home,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And to me that was special because I knew, okay, I don't have to live in the truck, rest of like I've had companies where I've lived where literally, you're gone like 3 months and then you come home like for a week. They want you to go out and within a day or two. I'm like, man, and I've been out there 3 months, man. I'm staying for a few days at least, But then yeah, they pay you so low, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to stay out there that long, right?
Yeah.
Because rules and regulations and stuff like that, you can only drive so much. There's planning. There's so many logistics behind the whole thing, right? So it's it's difficult. And yeah, like any driver you talk to, they could just spout this stuff like left and right because that's basically what we go through. And so I don't know, I got blessed. I don't know how it happened. I didn't even want to drive at the time. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, I was financially, I was like, I need to get back to work. So I'm going to try this place because the ad was up. That's why I talked to Mike Zellick. I believe you spoke with him.
Yep, cool.
And yeah, I went in and yeah, it's totally home. When Derek who was our owner, the CEO, literally he introduced me. I walked right into his office. He sat me down and sat there and I talked to him just like I'm talking to you, the guy I'd never met, like the owner of the company, and I've never had that before. This is the first time I ever met him.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
This place is different. And then yeah, no, I just kept being Joel after that because that's when I'm at my best, is when I'm just nuts and crazy, just being myself, right? And that's how I am there. You hear them, I talk to them, they're like, does this guy work here? Is he crazy? I'm like, no, that's just Joel. He's happy, man. So just let him be. Wow. That's home, that's home. Literally, when you're at work and it feels good. That's right.
You're gonna have to invoice some of the trucking companies that are listening and managers that are out there and drivers, because you just gave them some advice that they would normally pay a few $1,000s to go see Tony Robbins give them in a arena.
Hey, no, hey, it's hey, if it makes it a better place for everyone, then that's what the whole purpose of what this is all about, then, right?
So I want to reinforce a couple things you said. I just got to be Joel. And that's the most important thing, is recognizing that we all have a different home that's home for us. And the only way that we're going to find out if a company is the right fit or not is for both people to do some listening. When you talked about that you love your dispatcher, there's probably like 1 million people out there listening going, oh, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
The driver dispatcher relationship is dysfunctional, and it's not a love relationship, it's a hate relationship. And that's because up front, people didn't do what Derek and what Mike did with you, is to sit down and listen about who is Joel, who is Wellington, what's important to Joel, what's important to Wellington, and how, can we give each other what we want and what we need? A lot of times people badmouth their companies, and I ask them to step back, because from a corporate point of view, they're in a business to do certain things, and given what they do, there are certain things they can do for their drivers, and there are certain things they can't offer their drivers.
Right.
Talk about that up front, so it doesn't get personal, so that it doesn't get, my dispatcher, Rob is a total
no.
That listening up front to find out, who is Wellington, who is Joel, and hey, this is a good match, because they can get you home and they will value your want to get home. And the cool thing is when you're not shy to say who you are, everyone has authenticity, and you recognize that. Every authenticity has their fans and their haters. And if you shout out so loudly who you are, and and when you walk into an interview, even if they don't go into it, you ask questions about who they are and what they do, and what drives their business and what their business is like. Then all of a sudden, people that were supposed to be together find each other, and people that weren't supposed to be together can shake hands at that point and say, you know what, we're not gonna, you're good and you're good people, but you need to do what you're doing, but this isn't gonna work. Those are the discussions that need to happen more. And for Wellington to do that with you, and to point into the CEO and have Derek, just sit down and talk with you and find out who you are, you have found home.
No, that's exactly the way you put it. It's like the suit has to fit, right? There's puzzles from all different directions for them to mesh. It really does come down to both sides listening to one another to connect, to make that smooth operation, and then that's when it's beautiful.
And the sooner you do it, listen while you're not in the heat of trying to get loads moved and switched and they're on time, and then all of a sudden, when you understand each other, those pressure times become a lot easier.
That's exactly right. And over those like past 2 years now, I've been driving since I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
But now, since I've been at Wellington, I'm actually learning the trucking business.
Yes.
Because before that, just like you said, there's conflict, there's this and that. So all I did is drive and just be frustrated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But now it's like as things mesh, you're like, oh, you're relaxed. Even on a bad day, you're like, oh, okay, tomorrow will be better.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure, just like you said, when people collaborate with one another, it just, yeah, everything smooths out much better. It's not perfect, nothing is, right? But yeah, no, it definitely helps. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm gonna call this Joel's retention strategy lesson number one. Uh, for fleets out there is, and even for drivers, drivers, you deserve a good home. And some of you are very upset at your company, and I will hold them accountable for not listening well in the beginning, but the chances are they're good people.
Right. Yeah.
And the names that we start calling them, they're really not that. That's just our frustration speaking. It is
Exactly.
never ever, Joel's lesson number one, it's never ever too late to step back and have that listening conversation, to make choices about. Sometimes, heaven's right in front of us, we just can't see it yet. And that conversation unleashes that. Other times, it recognizes that, you know what, you can never give me what I want and what I need, because that's not how your business runs and that's not who you are. That doesn't make you a
Mhm.
bad company or a bad person. But you know what, let's shake hands and let's get you someone in this seat who's going to be happy, because everyone has a
Right.
different home that they like,
Mhm.
and let me go find my home.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
It-
that's
it-
that's
it-
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's what they do at Wellington. They, just like you said, they listen. And in terms of, from that, it made me a better listener. Like I said, I've been driving my whole life, but now I'm actually understanding a trucking company, because it's
yeah.
different now. It's like I'm understanding their perspective. They understand, because we listen to one another. I talk. I do most of the yelling still. But, yeah. If Tim sees that, he's like, oh, Joel, quick, 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 please.
Too
But
funny.
yeah, no, it's just how it comes together. It's so great. It's like,
Yeah.
literally, it's like everyone I work with is just like the best. And then it's I don't believe it. Like sometimes I'm like, how could I all of a sudden have a place where everything just, it like falls in line? It scares me. It's like, wow, am
Yeah.
I that lucky, or what happened? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I'm like really blessed with this job. It's scary. It is. It's so amazing. It's like I wouldn't even trade it for anything. I came out here. I moved out to London. I came out for academics. I was after my thing there, my surgery there a while ago. And I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Everything's blah, 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 blah. But when I finally got my sense back, I went back. I did a little school, a little upgrading, because I was like, oh, I'm going to apply at a few universities, see what happens, right? What the heck? I'm never going to get in, but I'll try anyway. And I did. I actually got into a place. So I was like, okay, well, so I'll move out here. And I did that. And then, of course, it didn't work out too well when I got here, between juggling that and working all night and all that. It was to the point where I was going to be in trouble, or I had to fall asleep at the wheel or something like that. So like I
Yeah.
had to, I gotta take care of myself. So unfortunately, school had to leave and all that. And then that's when more struggles and demons and all that. And I was driving and all that. And on and off with driving, and just that brings me up to that point there with a few years ago, or 2 years ago there. I was like, I don't want to drive no more. And yeah, I talked to Mike Zellick in Wellington, and yeah, it just all kind of fell in line. How we first were talking about there, how you became a trucker and all that. It's like, it wasn't really my intentions. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be an engineer. Right? I was good with math and stuff like that. That's kind of my thing and all that. But it's like I was never intending, but I was always around equipment and stuff like that. So I decided, hey, get your license. Why not, right? And it's funny how that wasn't necessarily how I wanted, but now down the road, how that actually ended up treating me well.
Yeah.
It's just funny how life works out that way, like financially they pay me extremely well too here. It's like, so it's mind-boggling. I work my butt off. I get home, I get like 3 days off a week most of the time. It's like it's insane.
Mike, in talking to Mike the other day, he hit the nail on the head. He said, if you just dare treat people well and pay people well, you don't need as many people, because people just rally together, they work hard, they play hard, and
Right.
stuff gets done, and you actually end up more successful than you were if you were trying to save pennies. But you
Right.
need twice as many employees, because everyone's working disgruntled and at
Right.
half their capacity. So it is a cool story. I want to end off the home story with you, just with, this reflection on what you said. A lot of, listeners, you're listening to Joel's story and you're saying, well, he lucked out. And in many ways he did. But that's how we redeem our stories, is that, as Joel has lucked out and has learned these things, for the rest of us, if you haven't found your home yet, it's no longer lucking out, it's a choice. It's a
Mhm.
choice to listen and be heard. It's a choice to stand up for what's important for you and communicate that before you just, look at a number and decide I'll work for this company because they pay X amount per mile. That's
Right.
not the criteria number one for finding your home.
No, no.
And so, Joel, I just want to thank you for sharing your story, because it's going to help people move from I lucked into finding my home to you've
Mhm.
given us some really good advice from your story. You've had to work it out, but your
Right, right.
story is going to be powerful in helping other drivers take more of a straight line and choose it for themselves.
Correct.
And
Yeah. Right, right.
when they're in your space, you know what happens? Not only are they a better truck driver, but you become a better brother, a better son, a better father, a better friend, better uncle, better
Yeah.
auntie, better
Yeah.
mom, better for the female drivers out there.
Yeah.
When I feel good, it's amazing how there are far less difficult people around.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's about being happy. It's about feeling good. That's why we're here on this planet. Despite
Yeah,
what we got to go through, our stories, highs and lows and all that. At the end of the day, when you're happy, it just expels from us.
yeah,
It comes out. That happiness. It's bliss. You spread it around. Even on a bad day, you're like, oh, you still do something nice.
yeah.
And that little piece of nice, as small as it is, imagine if everyone in the world did that, or even a fraction, a large percent, then it would be that much better.
Loved people love. Listeners, that's your challenge. Joel, thank you for sharing your story here today.
Thank you for having me here. This is amazing. It's great.
And, listeners, stay tuned, because as we do this segment on mental health coming up in a little bit, we're just arranging it with Charlotte and Company in Winnipeg. But I think it's an important message. And you got the foretaste of that here today. My thank you. Joel, you're awesome. Thanks for spending the time. Thanks for sharing your story so that others can learn. To my listeners, how do you feel? I mean, it's amazing how when we just hang with people that are glass half full and that are real, it's not about being deliriously wearing sunglasses that don't reflect reality in life. Joel's, as I said in the intro, Joel's life hasn't been all peaches and cream, but despite that, and building off of that, here's an individual who is a game changer, who is an atmosphere changer, and we can be too. As you listen to a story, maybe you love it, but when it comes to yours, you don't see it. Maybe you're telling yourself the lie that it's too late for me. I've been driving for many years, and I'm going to just finish up my career with the company that I hate. It's 10 more years and then I'll retire. I've heard that. I don't know if you've heard that. I'm going to put up with this rotten stinking place for the next 15 years until I can get a pension and do the things that I want to do. No, 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 no. You don't deserve that. And neither do the people that you're going to put up with for the next 10 to 15 years. But it's an option that far too many people buy into. It's not too late. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how long you've been on the road. If you're young, congratulations, you can make this choice earlier. But it's kind of cool how, even through his illness and collapsing and waking up in Saskatoon, God gave Joel a second chance. And he used it to move down the road. And I think that second chance is available to all of us if we'll just choose it. And I want to talk a little bit about how you choose it. Two things. Number one, know who you are. Number two, find out who the company is. Because the truth is, research shows that over 3/4 of people that leave their companies don't leave the company because of the pay, don't leave the company because of any of those sort of superficial things, those extrinsic rewards that are important, but they don't leave because of those things. They don't leave. Over 3/4 of people leave because they don't get along with the people they work with. They don't get along with the values of the company that they work for. And so eventually hopefully they return the truck to the yard and they hand in the keys and they shake their hands and say, thank you. This isn't working for either of us. You're a great person. So am I. It's been, thank you for however many years. And you deserve someone happier than I am. And I deserve a company that, can meet my needs better than you can. That's a better scenario than dumping the truck on the side of the road and not even calling them for them to discover that the truck's on the side of the road, and then relationships really sour. Values are important. So number one, know who you are. Each of us has what I call an uncommon sense. I wrote a book called Authenticity, taking authority over your authenticity, knowing who you are, and finding out what you were born to do and where you were born to work. All of us, based on where we grew up, our education, our culture, our life experiences, both traumatic and bad and happy and good, it defines who we are. And who we are, very importantly to understand, is what we expect. Who we are is what we expect. All your experiences have you walking into a company. And yes, there are some professional expectations of a driver and a company in that, professional relationship, but you come in with far more than those. You come in with these personal ones. I call it your uncommon sense. And so, for example, one of those for me is because I grew up in a home that had a German background, or a good portion of German in my background. Punctuality was huge. And being on time wasn't just showing up on time, i.e., be there at 10 o'clock. So show up at 10 o'clock. Punctuality was, the Benyacheks were always, 20 minutes early to everything. And I can still remember my dad looking at me and going, you will never make anything late. And so how crazy is this? But it's true. When I started at Shell, if the meeting was at 9 o'clock and someone walked in at like 2 minutes to 9, they were technically on time, but there was a part of me that looked at them as if you're late or you're almost late. You better spruce up your game. You see, why do I say this? Is because as who we are defines what we expect, people are happy. Home is where you get what you expect. And it's not fair to a company to walk into their doors when you haven't revealed and talked about in the interview process and getting to know your recruiter and doing those things, not only your professional expectations around pay and some of those other things, but your personal expectations, the type of person you are, the things that you value, home time versus road time, versus the types of relationships. Some of you love work relationships that are straight and to the point. Some of you love work relationships that are more like friendship relationships where, you want that chatter and you want that talk. It's good to know those things, because the truth is, every authenticity has its fans and its haters. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about finding the right fit. You deserve to be who you are. And like I said earlier, if someone's asking you to change who you are, you're not going to be happy. So what it means is, when you walk into an interview with a company, don't walk in doing the interview with the mindset that your main goal is to get the job. Your main goal should be to discover whether it's the right fit or not. And your end of the bargain is to be really clear about who you are and the things that you like, the things that are important to you. No company can give you 100% of the things that you like, but for the core values that are super important to you, know what they are and go into an interview talking about them. To say, here's where I'll be your best employee ever. This describes my home. And then number two is, after you know who you are and you communicate that, a great thing to find home is, if they're not forthcoming, is to ask those questions of them. Many times the person that's doing the interview is more nervous than the person being interviewed, and it may not even be that they're deliberately withholding anything. But an interview can be a nervous time and stop some important stuff from happening. And so if they're not telling you about their value and their culture, I'd encourage you to ask those questions. So, as I value these sorts of things, how would you describe your environment? Is that going to be a fit for you, or would that drive you crazy? Maybe start with the phrase that I want to make sure this is kind of a values fit, because then you're going to be happy with me and I'm going to be happy with you. So let's talk about that right now and delve into those things. Every authenticity has its fans and its haters, and when people talk about authenticity, both of the driver and of the company, that's when great people find each other, and that's where home is. You deserve home. It's not by chance. It is by choice. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. We've been talking about finding your home and changing what you get in life by changing what you give. A lot of you know Dave James, Bar J Heavy Mechanical in Balzac, Alberta. He's been doing these segments called Bar J Shop Talk, where he talks about things that can help save you time, money, and heartache in terms of your trucks. And that sort of advice is invaluable when you're running your business because your margins are thin. And so the more money you can save, the better. So here we go. I'm going to tell. No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. That would be funny if I talked about suspension airbags instead of Dave James talking about. That would be the wrong Dave to talk about suspension airbags. It would be funny, but no. Dave James, Bar J Mechanical, Bar J Shop Talk on the topic of suspension airbags and how you can save some time, money, and heartache going forward. Enjoy.
Hey guys, Dave with Bar J here again. Just wanted to bring up a quick topic here for you on the suspension airbags on your trucks. Just doing your pre-trips in the morning and that, have a good look at the pedestals underneath. This is the plastic piece that's down along here. And then for cracks along the bottom of the bag, it's just a quick check to make sure that there's no cords showing, no chunks missing. You can see a little chunk missing on that one. It's in here for CVIP and that's why it's getting replaced. But you don't want a bag to blow out while you're going down the road. It'll, number one, it'll scare the crap out of you. And number two, your level on the truck is off when you blow a bag, and you got less suspension power, less, stability in your truck as you're driving. So it's just a quick, easy check. If you see cracks in it and it's starting to weather, because these trucks for the most part park outside, the rubber in those bags does take on weather and heat and that kind of thing, and it makes them prone to cracking. So just keep an eye on the cracking, the cords. If you do see a cord in your bag, it's really time to start thinking about getting it changed, just like a cord when you see it in your tire tread. But yeah, simple thing to keep an eye on and keep you guys on the road.
Cool. Thank you, Dave. You're the right Dave to air that segment and talk about that. I have to confess, listeners, the last time that I saw a suspension airbag was the first time that I saw a suspension airbag, and that was last week as I was out at Bar J filming and recording some of these segments for you. And so Dave's an awesome man. Talk about getting what you give. I mean, this guy's committed to his customers. He received a call and we cut our stuff short, and he was on the road to help a client. He's just a guy with a heart for great customer service, and as a result, he's got some loyal customers. And just it's good to be supported by and hang out with and be able to do this with people that you admire. And Dave and Michelle are some of the best out there. So thank you, Dave, for that. That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about what's new with Wow Trucks. So I want to congratulate. We have every month a monthly photo contest. This past month's winner was Tim D. Mandel, a good Saskatchewan trucker with a beautiful Peterbilt. You can check out the picture of his ride on the Wow Trucks Facebook page. It is the banner image for all of the rest of April for the Wow Trucks Facebook page. So when he won the contest, he won that. He won a spot in the 2022 Wow Trucks calendar, and you're going to love his ride. It's beautiful. Can't wait to do a photo shoot. As long as borders don't close between our provinces, let's hope. And then he also won a $100 Shell gift card to help fill his tank. As gas prices are going up, every little bit helps. And so congratulations, Tim. He's an awesome dude. I talked to him a little bit last year, and look for an interview coming up. And to be out on a future part of the Wow Show, because I think he's got a lot to say and a lot to offer. One of the good guys on the road, Tim D. Mandel. That's cool. And then secondly, spring sale of what? It's been since 2008 that we've been creating the Wow Trucks calendar, and for the last 3 or 4 years, we've added a strip at the bottom that companies can use to put on their own logo. We customize it for you. And make it your customer calendar so that it's your marketing message, your logo, beautiful trucks. It's a high quality calendar. So if you're a company that's listening and you want to support what we do, promoting good in the industry, I'm proud of what we produce. Send an email to david@wowtrucks.com. So WOWTRUCKS.com. And I'll return it with information on pricing and a spring discount for ordering your Wow Trucks calendar for 2022. Tim's truck will be part of it. A number of Jean Bark, a number of amazing rides have already won their way in. If you're a driver and you'd like to be in Canada's Big Rig calendar, the next chance is happening as we speak. The contest is going on the Wow Trucks Facebook page. It's not too late. Go to the entry, which will be pinned to the top of the page. Post a picture of your truck, and the truck that at the end of the month has the most likes, loves, and other markations on it becomes the winner. And so again, you're going to win a spot next year's calendar. You're going to be the banner page, and there will be some cool prizes that go with it as well. Speaking of recognizing drivers, one of the best ways you can recognize anyone, whether it's a truck driver, professional driver, a person at the bank, your spouse, whatever, is just listening. And some of you caught the show a week or two ago where we featured the driver forum that was held by or co-partnered with NEL Insurance. And Aaron Lindsay, one of their VPs, was on the show, and we had a number of drivers just talking about the realities of and listening to the realities of their experiences on the road. I just want to play, because what we're doing is awareness is the first step to change. And so often we buy into the lie that things never change, but they do. And awareness is, they can, and they do. And awareness is the beginning of that. So I want to play with you, if you didn't catch that show, just one of the clips that came from it about driver experiences on the road and why things need to change. And so what we're doing about it is we're taking it to people that can make those changes, and just presenting them with the feedback and talking about the need for change and the recognition for drivers. At the beginning of COVID, many of you got the respect and recognition that you deserve. But like many other tragedies, what happens is, at the beginning, everyone focuses on it, and then the problem doesn't go away, but the spotlight does. And so have a listen at this piece of feedback, just knowing that we hear you and we thank you, and we're fighting for you. Here we go.
We're nothing but the bad apples out there. I couldn't shower, I food, and if I wanted to use a washroom, there were stops that I legitimately had to use a porta potty that hasn't been cleaned for over 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
So how in the possible world I'm considered essential carrying goods and stuff, freight or whatever you want to call it, food, lumber, anything, but I cannot have the essential needs of a human being to be healthy and clean.
Yeah.
I am against on microwave and inverters in the truck. I do believe a driver needs to get out twice a day and eat a lunch and a hot meal for dinner.
Yes.
If I cannot afford to do that as a commercial driver, I am not going to drive for this company. If I don't have the time to do that as a commercial driver, I'm not going to drive for this company. I had to go and install inverter, a microwave, and a coffee pot in my truck. Why? Not because I wanted, because I can't get. How is my health gonna go when I cannot actually eat a proper hot meal and I have to eat canned food 7 days a week, twice 2 meals a day? Because how many cooked meals am I gonna get when I'm 20 days on the road? I have like 1x2 little cooler, which is gonna get maybe 5 or 6 Tupperware in it.
Yeah.
So then you're eating pre-made food, which is nothing but unhealthy.
Right.
So in my opinion, and in my experience in the last year, we were good people when we were needed. When everything ran out, we were needed, we were good people, and people were thanking us in all the 9 yards. Yeah, we were nothing but the bad sheep out there.
Yeah.
I want to go back, and I just want to end off with this thought about, if you're not happy with what you get in life or you're getting in life, there's two options. You can try to change what other people do, or you can change what you give to influence what other people do. And the second has been the most successful for me on a regular basis, consistent basis, especially if it's genuine. If you give good stuff that's genuine, it's not always the person that you give it to. I find life is kind of funny that way. Sometimes who you give to gives you back, but sometimes it's someone who's watching. And while you may not get exactly what you expected from the person you're giving to, because you're building your own brand, that it comes from other sources. But I love how that works in life. But giving good stuff needs to be authentic. If it's not authentic, it kind of smells like if I was in my car, you in your cab for a week without a shower. You can smell it a long ways away, and it's worse than not trying at all when it's authentic. And so I just want to leave with one story. It's not even a trekking story, but I remember being at an airport because, like Joel, I love giving good stuff. I love people. That's what I'm all about. We're at the airport, and our transfer to a flight got canceled. And so we were all sent to the Air Canada customer counter at this particular airport and to rearrange for other flights, either I think it was for the next day or whenever. And I really had an urgency to go because I was speaking somewhere. I was training. I do leadership training, common sense leadership. Imagine that. I'm standing in line, and the guy in front of me gets up to the counter and he just starts yelling and screaming at the clerk behind the counter, calling her not inappropriate names, but just basically saying, "You guys are awful, and how dare you do this?" And just kind of screaming and yelling. He says, "I absolutely need to, get the next flight out of here, and I demand I be put on it." And so I'm watching, and the lady keeps her cool behind the counter, and she says, I'm sorry, I don't have anywhere that I can place you. And you can speak to my manager if you like. And we will do our best to get you to your destination as soon as we possibly can. And so he was connected with their manager, and then it was my turn, and I walked up. And again, this is not manipulation. This is genuine. I just walked up and go, "Wow, are you okay?" I said, it can't be easy. Having to face the wrath of people that are, wanting to go to where they're going. And she just kind of let her guard down for a second and talked about, what life was like for her in that moment and the many moments that she lives that are similar to that. And she says, "Where are you going?" And I said, "To this particular place." She says, "When did you plan to be there?" I said, "Well, I've got a speaking engagement there tomorrow." She looks down, does a few keystrokes, and I was going to the same place this guy was going in front of me. And what was a no-go for him, all of a sudden she pulls out 2 tickets, slides them over the counter, smiles at me, and says, "Enjoy your flight." Come on. If you're fed up with what you're getting today, change what you give. Let it be genuine, not fake, not manipulative, but genuinely change what you give and good things will come back to you. I want to thank Joel. What an inspiring story, what an inspiring guy. I look forward to following him. And actually, he'll be back on a future episode as we talk with Robin Priest in Winnipeg, Manitoba about driver mental health. And we're going to have a driver forum, and Joel's going to be a part of that. But Joel, you're amazing. I want to thank you for being part of today's show. And to all of our listeners, a reminder that I thank you for what you do. I thank you for who you are. I hope you have an awesome week on the road. God bless. David out.
So Joel, like, we are just thrilled to be able to chat with you, be able to get to know a little bit more about you. But what we want to do more than anything is thank you for all of your hard work and dedication, especially over this past year. And that's always, but especially over the past year, working during the pandemic, because we have seen the effect that the pandemic had on truck drivers as far as getting access to washrooms and food when you were on the road. So we want to give a genuine thank you to you for all of your hard work. Again, always, but especially during the pandemic. And we'd love if you could share a little bit about what it was like during this past year to work during the pandemic and kind of what you encountered on the road as far as different challenges and barriers.
Well, a lot of it to me, you know, a specific, like what we do at Wellington, we have what they call like dedicated runs, right? Which is pretty much exactly what it says. It's all the same, basically. So like you get familiar with the run and all that. So in terms of being in the pandemic, it helps that you know where you can and can't go. However, you know, as you said, how things have changed over time. It is a little different at certain things. Yeah, like people not allowing you to go in the washrooms and stuff like that. You know, we're kind of like, God bless, we have washrooms that we can use that they put aside, you know, stuff like that. And like it could definitely play a little bit of a psyche on you a little bit, because I was talking about Dave that too, like what is normal now, right? You know, like it's changed for everyone, really, you know, not just truck drivers, but everybody. But yeah, no, being out there on the road, you know, thank God I'm not out there as much as I used to be anymore, you know, with this dedicated, I actually get home now, you know, around weekends and all that. So it's to put it the least, it keeps my sanity, you know, as opposed to being out there. You know, there's this is like I know when you think truck drivers, that's great and all that, but there are other drivers, in my opinion, that are out there much longer than I am, and like that's a toll that's like amazing. Like, you know, I'd like to thank them too, because I would believe that it would be way more difficult for them, you know, being not going home as opposed to me actually having the opportunity to do that. So yeah,
definitely. Go ahead.
No, it's definitely difficult, you know, this pandemic and all that. It's like to me, what keeps me going, it's like I talked to Dave about it. It's like I know what's there and it's happening, but I kind of, in my own little psyche, I kind of almost pretend it's not. I try and keep things normal as possible, so I don't, you know, go off the walls or anything like that. So yeah, so I keep a sense of humor. I kind of, like I say, I'm kind of a crazy guy. Thank God I've been that way from the beginning. You know, it kind of helps me kind of get through all this stuff. You know, when something bad happens, you just keep moving. You try your best to get through it. You know, so yeah, that's kind of sort of what I do anyway, specifically for me, kind of for me to get through. I know what's out there and it's trouble, and I try my best to avoid large groups and stuff like that. Be careful, take precautions, you know, for all instructions and stuff like that. And thus far, it's, you know, knock on wood, it's helped me. So I don't know. Well, let's keep on going. You know, I'm blessed that I have work right now as opposed to some people that don't, right? So yeah, day at a time, sort of thing. We'll just keep it going to stay as positive as you can, I guess. So yeah.
I love your attitude about all of that, and I think it's really important to note that, like you've said, there are so many truck drivers that maybe have it a little bit worse in a sense. I don't want to compare, but at the same time, the drivers that aren't able to be home nearly as much and are on those much larger, longer routes.
Right.
But
Exactly.
I think, as you noted too, this is our new normal right now. And I had started saying that back in the early summer of last year, that we kind of have to adjust to a new normal. But some people, we weren't really wanting to have to accept that. But now, over a year later, we are realizing this is our new normal. And that's the way that we had to get through it, just by saying, hey, you know what, I'm not going to think about it too much. I'm just going to adapt and do whatever I can.
Exactly, right.
Make the most of it, right? And I really like hearing. I really like hearing that Wellington has been able to put you on your dedicated route, that you are able to know exactly where you can stop, exactly where you can get food, exactly where you can use the washroom, those kinds of things. And Wellington is an incredible company. We work quite closely with them. And I'm so glad to hear that they have been treating you well. And that doesn't surprise me at all, because they are great, great people. So that is fantastic. And again, just thank you, because you could have decided, you know what, I'm going to get out of this. Trucking is just too insane right now, and I'm going to try to find something else to do if I want to do that. But we need you guys out there on the road. We obviously needed all of our essentials to be getting into the stores and into our hands. So you guys really made that happen. And to thank you for that, we are going to send you a $50 Tim Hortons gift card, just so that you can get a few free meals. That's thanks to our sponsors. Over this last year, we came up with the Thank a Trucker initiative, which is just our way of giving back and getting lots of different sponsors involved to be able to provide truck drivers with meals. So that's our little gift to you as a thank you.
Oh, thank you. Wow,
You're welcome.
I didn't even know what to say. That's great. Wow, seriously, that's cool.
Yeah, you deserve it.
Holy, thank you. Wow, it's crazy. That's amazing. It's like, I don't know. It's all these amazing things are happening. I'm like, what the heck's going on? It's
well,
like
there's a lot of not so amazing things happening in the world. So the more that we can put out those amazing little things, the better.
Yeah, we can share it around. Yeah, share the share the love. That's just such a great outlook. It's so true. You know, it's like you do your best to stay positive in the worst of times and all that. It's like, wow, it's like things like that. It's like, wow, seriously. It's like ever since I started with Wellington, I guess you said you know the company yourself. Like I couldn't even begin to tell you like how great of a company they have been and the way they treated me. And it's like, that's why I'm so happy, is because I get to be Joel. And that's kind of exactly like you said, how they have great people at Wellington. That's exactly why the company's so good. It's not just, you know, the company grows from that, from the foundation that was laid, right? They keep building upon that and all these great people and all that. And it shows, you know, like even myself, until you rewind the clock a few years ago, I was like retired from truck driving because I couldn't take it anymore. Like I said, how you said, how lucky I am. I'm like, well, not really. I've been in those situations where you're literally gone for months at a time before you go home, right? It will just, you know, it's not easy at all. So it's like I really feel that I'm truly blessed right now with the opportunity that Wellington gave me, and like, and then I'm getting all these things are happening left and right. People that I work with, they're just great with me, and you know, I'm introduced to all you guys and all that. Now you guys are giving me gifts and all this. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like, you know, it's just like things just keep. Yeah, on a daily basis, it's get better and better. It's amazing. Like I just came back from family just a few days ago in Saskatchewan. You know, my nephew, he's doing just great. He had a surgery that was like, oh my goodness. It's like, yeah, it's like I like thank you. I don't even know how to. Yeah, that's, you know, and then you know, and yeah, like, I want to be positive. I want to see like there's so many bad things happening right now, so I don't want to like you know like. You know,
well,
yeah,
you know what, we need your influence. Yeah, we need you in the industry. We need your influence in the industry, because your energy is totally contagious and you are so dedicated, and just we are proud to have you as a part of the industry. And same with Wellington, is we need more companies like them. They are working to change the industry, and so are you. So thank you for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I can't even, that's great. Thank you so much.